Yeah. Have y'all read that? I'm sure you read it, Savitar, right?
No, Guruji.
You haven't read Shankaracharya's Knowledge of the Self. Have any of you?
Is it like Viveka Chudamani or something like that? Is the name of the book originally?
That's the name of it. It's Knowledge of the Self.
Hmm.
Is that the accurate name for it,
The
Arjun?
name is called Atma Bodha in Sanskrit, Atma Bodha.
Yeah, right. Yes, real famous scripture is, along with the Gita, is probably my most favorite. When I was a boy, the first scriptures I was reading, because it's not very long and it's very simple, but it's very profound. So it's actually really hard to understand, uh, even though it is very simple. You really have to have realization before you understand it. So I used to. It sounded very, very true to me. So I pondered it for a long time, trying to understand what it meant. I was hoping someday I would understand what it meant, knowing that you would have to have an experience to understand. Um, uh, like everything I wished for, that eventually became true. I'll just read a little bit so you'll know what I'm talking about. But one interesting thing is this puts it in perspective. You know, I ask a lot of times, uh, among all the hundreds of thousands of people that practice Kriya Yoga, do you know any of them that have realized the self, that are self-realized? And very rarely, you might hear somebody, rumored. I know that Paramahansa Pragyanananda has, but I can just tell. But I haven't met all of the. I've met some of the monks with Kriya Yoga International, but I haven't met all of them. The ones that I have met, it's only Paramahansa Pragyanananda, and the Mahatmas that I live with, definitely that self-realization that they spoke like Shankaracharya. You could tell it came from experience. Uh, 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 okay, so this is what puts it in perspective. There's the knowledge of the self, the scripture, the knowledge of self is really written for those that are already free of sins, free of impurities through austerities. So they've already practiced extensive austerities, and then it's written primarily for them, which makes sense because they're really the only ones that would be able to comprehend it. And it's really written for those that have the ability to comprehend it as a external reminder of just like a daily washing of the cleaning of the copper pot, because at some time it will become stained just through the pollutants of the air. So it's always possible for other than avatars, possible for Mahatmas and saints, even if they're self-realized, to become stained just through association with the world. It might be very temporary, but they might lose themselves. You know, Jesus cried out, Lord, why hast thou forsaken me? Similar to that, you might temporarily feel confused, or that God has forsaken you by lots and lots of troubles. It's the nature of the world to do y'all hear music?
No, there's
Or organ music. And sometimes in this room upstairs, I hear chanting, like many. I look outside at the windows to see it because there's nothing up here. I look outside the windows to see if anybody's playing music that I might think is chanting, but nothing else. But I'll hear it, just like I hear anything.
now it's connected. So,
Pranam Guruji.
so Shankaracharya is yeah.
I just wanted to, I had heard once chanting of Om in the satsang that I can hear music and chanting. I did hear.
So the knowledge of the self is written for those who have already practiced severe austerities. Austerities purify you of your sins. They purify you of tamas and also rajasic sins. In other words, rajasic tendencies and samskaras that are active but negative, selfish. All sins are rooted in selfishness. So it doesn't mean that you're stealing from somebody or killing somebody. It just means selfishness, really. So it's only those that are free of sin that are fit for self-realization. To purify your sins. And some think that, well, when I'm purified of sins, then I'll be self-realized. No, that isn't true. When you're purified of sins, that's when you're just really starting to be able to meditate on this. There's a possibility that you can start meditating on the self, especially with the help of with a guru. So I'll read you a little bit of Shankaracharya's knowledge of the self. Compared with all other means, knowledge is the only direct means to liberation. As cooking is impossible without fire, so is liberation impossible without knowledge. You can't cook without fire. So what does this mean? It means not by reading, not by sign language or smoke signals or explanations can you be liberated, but only through knowing, only through intuitive knowing of God, of knowing the self. Can you go to liberation? Because there's so many major sins, mediocre sins, tiny little unmeaningful sins. That's what is clouding your not your vision, but it's clouding your direct means to illumination through knowledge, through knowing. And it's only when you're pure that you can know. So there can be lots of confusion about what is knowledge. Very few people know what it is. They think that it's reading books. They think that it's reasoning. They think that it's study, but it isn't. It's direct knowing. But most don't know what direct knowing is unless they experience it. But it's just simply knowing. I know. But not the knowing that, well, yeah, I know where Delhi is, or I know that two primary colors mixed together produce another color. It's not that type of knowing. And it isn't the type of knowing that, well, my guru knows everything about everything. Like, well, an example is Satguru, where he knows everything about everything. It isn't that kind of knowledge. You don't, that's worldly knowledge. Ritual cannot dispel ignorance, and yet many practice rituals. There's lots of rituals that are primarily practiced in Kriya Yoga now. Ananda is an example. They practice rituals. Self-realizations of fellowship, they practice rituals. I notice, because we have computers now, you can watch their what they broadcast, and they have a ritualistic Sunday service. Every one of their beginnings of their satsangs, they have ritualism, and the whole format is ritualized. Ritual cannot dispel ignorance because they are not mutually contradictory. But knowledge surely destroys ignorance, as light destroys dense darkness. And that's the best explanation to realization or knowledge of the self, is that it in your knowing, which seems to be up here, but also is in the heart as well. It's like a light being put on. So if I read these verses, I'm not necessarily thinking of ritual cannot dispel ignorance. But when I read the scripture, then a light goes off inside, like from here to here. It gives me an understanding of what Shankaracharya has written. And I described to you, I would read the Gita regularly, but then after Divine Mother came and removed that sin, that ignorance from my heart, which is what it was, because it was black. And it was like black tar. Then the next morning, before I sat for meditation, I would always read the Gita. And then it was like everything I read was like a light going on. And to where I had understanding, which I didn't have before that. You can't possibly have understanding if you have sin. And sin again are selfish motives, selfish thoughts, selfish ideas, anything that's originating from selfishness. And you can practice Kriya Yoga from the stance of selfishness. I want to know more than others know about Kriya Yoga, so I can show them that I know more. I want to practice Kriya Yoga for my Ananda, for my happiness, for my joy. Very rarely do you have anybody describe, I want to practice Kriya Yoga because it'll make me more pleasant for other people to be around. Do you ever hear that very often? No, it's always for yourself. So karma yoga or siva is removes you of sin. Giving removes you of sin. An actual giving. I was
Hi, Guruji.
that's that. I don't have permission to say this, so I won't mention any names. But in our group, a no interest loan was arranged for me to have some money. So it isn't one of us, so it's money that I'm paying back, but without interest. Now, it's been a long, long time before I ever borrowed money from a person. Actually, never, now that I think about it. But I borrowed money from institutions. But institutions are is contractual. So when you pay back a loan from an institution, which can be a personal loan or it can be a credit card, it's contractual. Credit card comes with a contract. Personal loan comes with a contract. So it's contractual. It's not giving back. But if a loan is given with no interest, it's really a gift. Even though if the agreement is to pay it back, it's still a gift because they're not getting anything out of it. So this loan that was extended to me, they're not getting anything out of it. In other words, they're not getting any interest. And so it isn't a gift. You don't have to pay it back, but it is a gift because there's nothing in it for them. So why are they doing this? So I use that money to pay back things, a lot of things that were overdue. So it's all been used. I've used all of it, but I agreed to pay a certain amount back every month. I agreed to pay back $300 every month. So I've started paying that back. But because it's not contractual, it's just solely done on honor, meaning I am going to pay that back as agreed, just out of honor, just out of affection for the person and the person who arranged to have that person extend the loan to me. So it's the first time that I'm giving money to somebody monthly, just like you give money to me. First time. And so I understand even more what it's like to give money to somebody every month, like on the 1st or on the 15th. It's it makes a connection between you and that person. And I don't even know this person. I know his name and I know the devotee who arranged it. The devotee who arranged it comes to satsang regularly. But it has a computer off, but it has it establishes a strong connection between me and this person, even though I don't even know the person. It establishes a strong connection between me and the devotee in our groups. So to all of you, I don't give you money. I give some of you money if I have it and you really need it, but I don't give you money monthly, like you give money to me. But I do give you satsang, which is worth more than money. You can never buy it, and you can never pay me back ever. Even if you gave me $10,000 a month, you couldn't pay back what I'm giving you. Because what I'm giving you is priceless. But you can give uh, uh, money, and money is a very strong influencer. But look at how much selfish money uh, influences this world. I mean, people will kill for it. People will rob and steal for it. But good people will also use it for extraordinarily good things. So many do Kriya Yoga rituals because they feel that I'm going to get benefit from their ritual. I'm going to get the benefit of saying the ritualized verses before the gurus, for example. And and I don't know if they say it in Ananda, in self-realization, everybody greets everybody with and ends the conversations with Jai Guru. That's ritualistic, Jai Guru. I don't say Jai Guru. I'm not ritualized, but I do say Om Tat Sat. But that's not a ritual for me. That just comes from me. So ritual won't bring us knowledge. Ritual won't bring us liberation. But knowledge does, because knowledge is a light that goes off in you. Now, this is still from Shankaracharya. The self appears to be conditioned by virtue of ignorance. So what does that mean? Well, the self is unconditioned. There's no conditions. There's no tamas. There's no rajas. And there's no sattva either. Sattva is a condition. The self is unconditioned. But it seems to be conditioned because only of ignorance. So even in pure sattva, there's ignorance. And some masters are born with ignorance for a particular reason. Lahiri Mahasaya was born with ignorance. He wasn't awakened until he met Babaji. And Babaji woke him up from ignorance. So he was, if he had been born with knowledge, he never would have become involved with the world. He probably just would have been like some stories we've heard of in ancient times where the boy is 10 years old or 8 years old and he just leaves the family and goes off into the Himalayas and meets Mahatmas and gurus. He's not going to get entangled with the world. And Lahiri Mahasaya, after receiving knowledge from Babaji, he didn't want to go back home. Even though he had a wife, he had a family, he had children, had a job, he didn't want to go back. Having purified by repeated instruction. I remember there was a real nice couple. They were European. Well, they're from London, I believe. This is at the beginning, and the girl, the wife was really more into it than the husband was. I could tell. And then after certain period of time, they left. They left me, and they went to something else. But she gave an explanation to somebody, not to me, but she gave a candid explanation to somebody else in the group. They said that Yogivah is too repetitious. My satsangs are too repetitious. Well, that's the whole point of satsang, is to be repetitious. That's what you get the benefit from. But if somebody doesn't know that, if they're looking for something else other than knowledge, then well, all of his talks are essentially the same. So I'm not progressing because things aren't becoming graduated and things aren't changing. It's just he talks about the same thing. Having purified by repeated instruction. It's like when you wash yourself, or when I wash a puppy, how do you wash a puppy properly? You don't do it by wiping the puppy with a wet cloth. No, you have to get a tub of water, and you have to put the puppy in the tub of water, and then repeatedly you pour more water over the back of the puppy, more water. You scoop it up, you pour water, scoop it up, pour water, scoop it up, pour water, scoop it up, pour water, put a little soap on it, scoop it, put water, scoop it, put water, scoop it, put water, scoop it, put water, until the puppy is purified. So that's why repetition in your daily life is beneficial, meaning get up at the same time every morning, go to bed at the same time every night, meditate at the same time every morning, meditate at the same time every night, have dinner at the same time every day, do everything on a repeated daily schedule, everything. So when I was when I had businesses, I would wake up at the same time every morning, and I would be at work at the same time every day, and then I would leave at the same time every night, and I would go to sleep at the same time every night. The soul that is turpid with ignorance, like a puppy is turpid with dirt, mud, feces, fleas. That's what turpid is. Knowledge should efface itself as the paste that the cleaning nut does with water. The phenomenal world, abounding in desire, hatred, etc. And it abounds everywhere. I was counseling another member in our group in a business arrangement, and he's disturbed because the person who he entered into the business arrangement is cheating. He's taken advantage. I told him that's the nature of people in the world. Their nature is just that. Nature isn't to be honest, isn't to be fair, isn't to be even. It's their nature is to take without giving back properly. That's the inscrutable nature of everybody in the world. Because just like I tell you, you go into a bookstore, there's no books that teach you how to be bad. There's only books that teach you how to be good. We're just naturally bad, because that's the nature of the world. The phenomenal world, abounding in desire, hatred, etc., is verily like a dream. While at last it seems to be real, but when one awakens, it becomes unreal. Because I told you this drama that happened with me in this past week. I mean, I've moved on. I don't think about it. it takes some effort on my part to even remember what it is. In other words, what happened, when it happened, what it was exactly. It's just like a dream to me. But I can remember it like a dream. Like I had a dream. I woke up this morning, like I usually do, at midnight, and I go to sleep at 9, and then typically I go to sleep at 9, and I wake up at 12 for the day. But I wasn't feeling well this morning, and because I wasn't feeling well, I said, well, I'm gonna lie down because I'm not feeling well, and so I went back to sleep. But because I wasn't feeling well, it wasn't a deep sleep. It was a dream-like sleep. And I was having a particular deep dream, which I can tell you about it in detail right now. In other words, I can remember it. I can think about it. I could write it down so that 20 years from now, I could remember it because I wrote it down. That's what karma is like. That's what samskara is like. In other words, we give it a lot of attention through thinking. So what happened the past week, I could reconstruct it if I made the effort. But is it spontaneously in my feelings and my thoughts? No, because it's like a dream. The dream is only remembered if you recount the dream, if you try to remember. And a lot of people have trouble remembering their dreams, and a lot of people have trouble forgetting their dreams in the world or at night. I told you that most people are like this, but I saw it demonstrated in my mother, not in my father, but in my mother. She had a trauma in childhood where her sister, she and her sister were best friends, and just playfully when they were little, her sister put a pillow over her head, just in a playful way. Like, kids wrestle together. She put a pillow over her head, and my mother, she put the pillow over her head too long. My mother couldn't breathe. But she remembered that her whole entire life, to where she couldn't have anything restricting her head. So she died when she was 82 years old, and she remembered that her entire life, all the way up to leading up to her death in the 80s. She still talked about it. So we talk about things that happened yesterday. We think about things that happened last week at work or with friends or with family. And the little post I made about Yogananda said, don't take the world so seriously. This is what he means. It's a dream. It has no substance. So, Kriya yogis are taught to be calm. To be calm is to be, that's the goal, is to be calm. Well, that isn't the goal. Being calm just means that you're calm. It doesn't, when you're calm, it doesn't mean that self-realization dawns just because you're calm. But almost every yogi thinks that. That's what they're taught. No, calm is calm. Calm doesn't allow knowledge to come in. Knowledge is God is everywhere. God is already in. So being calm just means, well, I have a calm nature. I have, I had 3 dogs, and only had one, and one by nature is very calm, and one by nature is very hyperactive. One is a blue heeler, which is a cattle dog, and cattle dogs are very, very active. Some dogs, by their breed, are very calm. Some dogs need a lot of exercise. Some dogs don't require it. It's the nature that the dog is born with. But some people are born calm, and some people are born restless. So you don't have to change your nature. But you're not taught that in Kriya Yoga. You're taught because simply because the people that are teaching you don't have proper understanding. So you're taught to try to be calm, and then you message me and you say, I got real angry yesterday, and I'm feeling so bad about myself. Don't feel bad about yourself. It's natural to get angry. I get angry. I can get very, very angry. You'd be surprised, shocked how angry I can get. But then 5 minutes later, I forget about it. Paramahansa Ramakrishna said, the one who's self-realized has the nature of a child. A child can be crying his eyes out because another child took its toy. And then the mother gives the child some candy, and then he and that best friend, the child gives both the children candy, and then they're both best friends again. Both of them completely forget about the toy. That's what the self-realized are like. So it depends on your nature. Do you get angry or do you not get angry? My nature is very, very typical Gemini. So I have two natures. So I have a calm nature that also likes solitude, but I also have a very active nature, boarding or actually hyperactivity that likes to socialize with other people, meaning it likes to be with other people. So I've got both of those natures, and one or another can be present at different times, depending on what kind of mood I'm in. So do you need to change your nature? No. Never change your nature. Nature is what God gave you. Ignorance, God didn't give you ignorance. You're only in ignorance because of your association with the world. The nature of the world is ignorance. Like the illusion of silver in the mother of pearl. The world appears to be real only until the supreme self, the immutable reality behind everything, is realized. So like I was saying yesterday, this world is real. Scientists say this world is real. I'm studying the real world. I don't want to hear about God. I don't want to hear about this and that. I want, this world is real. I want something I can touch, I can taste, can uh, drink it, I can eat it, I can feel it. Well, you're just operating through the senses, or I can see it. You're operating through the eyes. And it's the mother of pearl effect. And then real deep scientists that try to understand the nature of consciousness and that sort of thing, they know that you're not actually seeing anything. You're not actually uh, that light comes into the eye, and the way that the eye works, you're just like similar to what we have right now. I can see your faces. You can see my faces, but they said, well, I want to meet you in person. I want to be with you in person. Because to be with you in person is real. And this is just this seems to be real, but it's done through the air, done on computer. And you know, it's close to being real, but it isn't real. But when you have knowledge, you know what is unreal, but then everything that is real. So everything that is real is here. It is coming through the computer. Do you see that reality is is everywhere. It's coming through everything. But what is coming through isn't real. I mean, if I lost my internet connection, then this would be finished. So reality is never finished, but what can be finished is unreal in that sense. So our desires in the world that seem to be supreme over everything else. A selfish person, their desires are supreme. They have to. I have to get what I want, and I have to have it now. It's supreme over everything else. But it's your desires are illusion, because then you get it, and then you move on to your next desire, and then you move on to your next desire, then you move on to your next desire, and it's endless. Desires are endless. So some people are conflicted. They say, well, can a self-realized person have desire? Because the scriptures say to be without desire. So when I'm self-realized, does that mean that I'm not able to enjoy things anymore? I'm not able to desire things anymore? I understand that this kind of talk is ignorance. Talk among spiritual teachers that are just teaching you ignorance. You're holding up a sign that says knowledge, 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 spiritual, 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 truth, 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 and it's all fake. Like bubbles in the water, the worlds are born. So the last time I went to the ocean, I swam out into the ocean, and there's lots of bubbles on the surf when you first go into the ocean, because the water's hitting the land it causes friction, so it causes big bubbles and big surf. So the bubbles on the edge of the ocean and the sand, that's not water, or that's not the ocean. Well, what part is the ocean? How far do you have to go in before it's the ocean? You have to go beyond the bubbles. In other words, you have to go deeper into the ocean. No, it's all ocean. So people have ideas of what self-realization is, what God realization is, and none of your ideas are what it is. None of your thoughts are what it is. None of what you're being taught is what it is. Anybody who says you have to change your nature are ignorant of the truth. This is why Ramakrishna told that devotee, he didn't tell the devotee to stop drinking alcohol. He never told him that. The person was unable to stop drinking alcohol. But when he got knowledge, then he was no longer interested in alcohol. There was, instead of restraining his desire, it eliminated his desire. You're never really able to eliminate a desire through effort. You're just moving it from your conscious awareness, but the source of the desire hasn't been eradicated. It only comes through knowledge or repetitive meditation, repetitive satsang, the same thing over and over and over, like pouring water over a dirty dog, dirty puppy. Our feet tend to get dirtier than our stomach. I go barefoot all the time. Only time I wear shoes are when I leave the house and go somewhere. Other than that, I'm always barefoot, and I even go barefoot outside. So my feet get really, really dirty, especially on the bottoms. because the bottom is in direct contact with the dirt. And then you build up dirt between the toes because it comes up from the dirt and it from pressure is pushed up in between your toes. So I pour water on my feet, but it just washes off the surface dirt. Feet are still dirty. So I pour more water and more water. It's a little cleaner, more water, a little cleaner. But then I take some detergent, some soap, and I rub it on my feet. It's a little bit cleaner. But then I put some soap on my feet with a brush. And the brush is causing lots of friction. So it's the friction, the soap, and the water that's getting it clean. And then rinsing with the water, and then using the brush to rinse with the water is getting it really, really clean. And then finally, you just rinse it with water, and then your feet are clean. So Sri Yukteswar and others, he would put disciples together that were in conflict. He would put them together like a pressure cooker. It would cause even more friction. And in the cleansing environment of the ashram, he would, just like last week, we brought a lot of friction, came through a lot last week. And so he put people in situations where there was, it made even more conflict. Did Sri Yukteswar try to create a calm nature in the ashram? No. Many times he tried to do just the opposite. So this direct disciple of Yogananda that I spoke of, he never turned on the radio. So he would work with the radio turned off. He never listened to music. He would work with no music. Never turned on the TV. He would work with no TV, absolute quiet, and then no talking. And he would tell others repeatedly that this is what you need to be like this. You shouldn't turn on the radio. You shouldn't turn on the TV. You shouldn't listen to music. You should be in absolute silence. Well, that's simply not true. If somebody's addicted to background noise, then that's a good idea. But you're not going to attain purity through only being in silence, and it's just the opposite. And being in noisy environments can very often make your purity come about faster because you're going into an environment with lots of friction, and because there is a lot of friction, you desire quiescence, and quiescence is different than silence. Quiescence is I'm feeling quiet inside, so I'm not trying to be calm. I am calm. I'm not trying to find silence because I am silent. I'm not hiding the dirt. There is no dirt. Like bubbles in water, the worlds are born, remain and dissolve in the Supreme Lord. That is the material cause, a foundation of all things. So Divine Mother has created all the worlds. God has created all the worlds. So I don't, I've always I told you I've always thought about death ever since I was born because I like to know. So I want to know, where am I going after I die? I don't like not knowing where I'm going. Just like I was always home and then I had to go to school for the first time. That made me scared because I didn't know. I know home. I know my mother. And now you're telling me I have to go to a completely different environment. I have no idea where it is. I don't know where the school is. You're telling me I'm going to have a teacher. I'm not going to have my mother. I'm going to have a teacher. I don't know this teacher. I don't know these people. You're telling me there's going to be other boys and girls in the class. I don't know these boys. I don't know these girls. I don't know anything about any of that. So naturally, you'd be scared, or at least nervous about it. So the afterlife, we don't know. So that makes us scared. Makes me scared. Makes me nervous because I want to know. Just like my very first operation, I was scared and I was nervous because I never had an operation before. I never had anesthesia before. I've seen other people have operations. I heard their stories, but I never had it before. So naturally, you're nervous, you're scared. Well, now I've had so many operations. You could do brain surgery on me, and I don't care. And like I said, that some months ago or however long ago it was, I don't know. They told me that we're going to probably have to do brain surgery. After having open heart surgery, I'm not scared of any kind of surgery. So if you want to cut off the top of my head to the skull, look into my brain, I'm not nervous about it. I'm not scared about it. On the eternal Vishnu, who is pure consciousness and existence as the common factor, all these various appearances are superimposed, like wristlets in other forms of gold. You see how nice Shankaracharya's supreme knowledge is? I mean, it tells you the exact truth precisely. But when you read it, yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
You might have answered this before, but my question is like two parts of it always. Like you said, how we want to come see you, but we can see it on a cloud base, basically in technology. But then you also out of time and space, like when we feel you or when we are in the meditation, we can see you with us, right? In the not the physical form or the spiritual form. We feel like you're sitting next to us or you're in our third eye, right? But then you also a physical form who is a real person, but going through so much pain and suffering. Like, how is this possible? This like blows my mind away. Like, you're a real person, you have a real vein problem in the feet and the heart and the body, and you're like, you can heal all this like according to very little. I know as a Reiki, this okay, as a Reiki master, they can heal their body and move on. But you're a master at a master. Like, how is a master can go through all this pain like a real people? Like, what is the truth?
Someone who practices Reiki are taught from the standpoint of ignorance and illusion. Let me cure you. I'll teach you how to cure diseases. Why? Why would I want to cure a disease? It's all illusion.
If everything is illusion, then why there's so much pain and suffering?
Because that's the nature of the world. Illusion, the nature of illusion is pain and suffering. This world is nothing but pain and suffering. Let's say, okay, you're going to go to, I'm going to be reunited with my mother, but I'm still traumatized by the school. And then my father, well, not my father, say the teacher then puts me in a car and I'm already traumatized by the teacher. I want to be with my mother. So I think that that's part of the school. But my teacher had made arrangements with my mother to bring me home. So the whole entire time I'm going home to my mother, but I'm still traumatized because I'm with the teacher, I'm in the car, I'm in something strange, but I'm actually going to what's familiar. I'm going to my mother. So the only reason we're traumatized by the pain is because we don't see the nature of pain. The nature of the pain is illusion. So people say, well, how can a master suffer? Well, see, you're still looking from the viewpoint of ignorance. I don't suffer. I tell you about all my sufferings, the bleeding, the pain, the operations, going to the emergency rooms, or the emotional suffering for the past week. Emotional suffering is the same thing as physical suffering. There's no difference. But I never suffer through any of it. I don't, because I have knowledge. I've had a lot of toothaches, really bad toothaches. I had a lot of root canals. I mean, I've had
Yeah, you
24.
mentioned that yesterday, and then you
Yeah.
again when you send those pictures with all the blood and then the ambulance coming, and we're all sitting in different part of the world, and I'm like, oh my God, how can we go there and help him? But then it's like he's the master, he's going to be okay. But then it's like as a subconsciously as a humans, I don't know, it just kind of like blows the mind away.
I only share that. I only share those pictures with you, meaning with you, those that I'm close to. I don't share them. I don't share them with the neighbors.
No, sir, that's not what I mean. Please forgive me. That's not what I meant.
No, I'm trying to explain to you what you mean.
Okay, I'm sorry.
When I share those things with you, it establishes a stronger connection because you're then looking at me with a deeper feeling. So that's being done through sympathy for my pain. So it establishes a deeper and deeper and deeper meaning. The more pain you see me in, the more the more established you're becoming with me. Now, when you're with me together, same as pain, you're with me in a blissful. You see my blissful nature, not my pain nature, and that blissful nature establishes you closer and closer and closer with me. That's why you want to be with me physically, is to be with me physically. And this Zoom established, it connects us stronger than a telephone call because it's also visual. To be with me in person establishes you much more so with me because you're with my physical body. And everything about me as an individual in this world is coming from the physical body. It's not coming from anywhere else other than the physical body. Because my soul is what's animating this physical body. That's why you touch the feet, because the feet is the top of my body. It's the holiest part of my body is my feet. I'm turned upside down. So that's why you want to physically touch the master's feet. I've touched the feet of perfect masters hundreds of times. Women and men, hundreds and hundreds of times. Every opportunity I have, because every time you touch the feet, it's purifying. It's more purifying than just touching the feet one time is more purifying than 100 lifetimes. Physically, I'm talking about. But to touch the feet with devotion is even more purifying. It's even more intensive purifying, because devotion is opening yourself to allow that purity to come in. whereas somebody else I can go get my toenails cut, or say a perfect master can go get his toenails cut. And the person cutting the toenails, did they get the benefit that a devotee gets from touching the feet? Not very much. So let's say if Krishna incarnated in the physical body in the time of Krishna, had a professional do a pedicure on his feet, but then had devotees touch and cry his feet. Which one would get benefit? They're both touching the same feet, but which one is benefited? So you benefit when you have the right attitude, and I never benefit from anything at all. So I never feel any pain. My physical body feels it, but I don't feel it. So I've experienced a lot of tooth pain, especially in India, because that's where I had all the root canals. Archana was there for all the root canals. She knows how much pain I was in. She was holding my hands and she was crying. That was an extreme pain. So this toothache I had in the middle of the night, 3 nights ago, it was that kind of pain. It was really, really bad. As bad as any tooth pain I've ever had. But I also have a lot of experience with physical pain. So it was still there, but it wasn't, because I'd had it before. I had a better understanding of how to deal with it. But looking back on it, I'm not experiencing the pain by thinking about it. The pain is completely gone now. It just disappeared by itself. And I didn't have a dentist look at it. It didn't have it pulled. It's just completely gone. But thinking about the other day when I was in the midst of that pain, what pain? I can't remember I can remember having the pain, but I'm not feeling the pain. So that's what it's like to wake up from the illusion. I'm still in the illusion, but I'm not being affected by the illusion, even though it might appear that I am. I'm not. You see, the problem with people that are trying to be spiritual Kriya Yogis, for example, which are the worst, but other spiritual traditions too, which are the worst, because it's all fake. They're trying to be calm. They're trying to be above pain. They're trying to be above jealousy. They're trying to be above pettiness. They're trying for all these things. Anything that you're trying for is always fake. It's never real. What is real, there's no trying. It always is real. So even if somebody understands that, it's still fake, even though you understand that. So the only cure for fakeness is reality. And that comes to you through knowledge. And knowledge can't be studied. It can't be practiced. It comes when it comes. But we can do certain things. We can practice. We can do austerities. We can do rituals. But what's the highest practice? The highest practice is your Kriya Yoga techniques. This is why I teach techniques, because that's your austerity, meaning your physical and your mental technique. Satsang. Satsang, you attend it. You come to it. We had somebody who I'd been really close to and had been with me a long time. In the beginning, went to satsang, all the satsangs, but then less and less, and then finally stopped coming to any satsangs ever. and I would ask her, I said, why aren't you coming to satsang? She said, well, I'm always in satsang. I said, well, that's all well and good, but why don't you come to my satsang? Well, I'm always in satsang. I don't need to. So I told her, well, I want to see you. She said, well, I don't need to see you because I'm always in satsang. Well, what about me? I'm not. So I want to see you. Yeah, but I am. So then I couldn't even reason with her like that. So she and I are still really good friends, but she doesn't come to satsang. She doesn't message with me. She doesn't, except for very rarely. She doesn't see me. When I come back to India, she probably will come to see me, but she's certainly not gonna come every day like she did before, because she thinks that she's self-realized. She thinks that she's purified, where in fact she isn't. Otherwise she would understand better than she's understanding. So satsang, you come to the satsang. The guru, you touch the feet. You don't do it mentally from your room. You touch the physical feet. You go to the physical satsang, and even more so because it comes only one time. It'll never come back. That opportunity that you have to go to Badrinath as a visitor, it might only come once, or Kalash. That opportunity might come only one time in your whole entire life. Are you going to say, well, I'm always in Kalash. I don't need to go. That's completely delusional.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Like space, Lord Vishnu coming in contact with various conditions appears to be different by their differences. The guru the guru who's experiencing blood and pain and hospitalizations and operations, emotional pain appears to be suffering, but it is not suffering. I know that I'm not suffering, even in the midst of suffering. So what do? I just endure it. I don't try to cure it. Now, if I have cancer, then of course I'll try to cure that. Because if you're in the illusion, why not try to create? Why not try to create the? Why not to cure the pain within the illusion if you can? So Rocky, in that regard, I'm not against it if it's for the right reason, but rarely is it for the right reason. The only right reason would be to extend somebody's life so that they can practice Kriya Yoga, or they can practice some method of self-realization. For that reason, you definitely want to, because you're living for the right reason, but just to extend your life in the world, for not living for the right reason, that doesn't make any sense. That's why masters aren't just curing everybody. Well, why doesn't Babaji just come? If he did cure that girl of cancer, then why doesn't he cure everybody's cancer? Why doesn't he direct a scientist to discover the cure for cancer? Or why doesn't God direct somebody to the discovery of the cure of cancer? Why? Cancer's bad. Why does God allow it? The place for experiencing happiness and misery, which is made up of the fivefold compounds of the great elements is obtained as a result of past actions. This is called the dense body. So this human body is very, very valuable because it's very rare. People throw it away just on eating and enjoyments and sex and desire. The body is not meant for that. The body is meant for satsang, service, and meditation. It's not meant for selfish reasons. People take that selfishness with them when they go for initiation, unless they're going for the right reason. But how many are going for the right reason? This is why you don't see a lot of Kriya yogis self-realized, because they're not coming for the right reason. It's not the fault only of the one who's given initiation. It's the ones that are coming also. They're not coming for the right reason. So Babaji told Lahiri Masaya, give Kriya Yoga to those that are coming, that are not liars. Give it to those that are coming for the right reason. So what's happening? Those who are in delusion, in ignorance, are initiating people into Kriya Yoga in mass, in a group, people they've never met with before, people they don't know. Why are they doing that? Can you tell if a group of 12 people come in, or a group of 20, or a group of 30, or a group of 50, and you're initiating them all at one time? How could you possibly know if they're coming for the right reason? There would be no way of knowing. So it has to be one person at a time. It doesn't mean only one person in the room at a time, but it means one person at a time. You have to know that person. Why are they coming for the right reason? You who are initiating, you have to know that. If you're initiating without knowing that, then you are committing a sin. Even though you think that you're doing a good thing, you're actually doing a bad thing. Just like somebody doesn't know any better, they can do something bad and they don't know, so they don't know they're doing a bad thing. But somebody who has knowledge, a parent, a teacher, can tell them, "Don't do that. That's bad." As a very, very young boy, I'd heard a song. It was kind of a catchy tune, and it had certain words. And I was in the bathtub. That's when I was real little, so they put me in a bathtub and left the room, and I was singing this song that I'd heard, and I was singing just the lyrics over and over and over and over. And I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was nice. And my father comes running into the room, and he takes me by the shoulder and said, "Never, ever sing that song." I still remember that because I was shocked, because I thought the song was pretty. I thought the melody was pretty, but the words, apparently there was a bad word in it. And the words to the song was, something like, "I'm married to a son of a gun." Yeah, I didn't know that "son of a gun" was a bad word, was something bad. I had no idea what it meant. Son of a gun is a bad thing to say. It's like a son of a bitch. Just to say a son of a gun is similar to that. Or, bastard or bitch, son of a gun. But I didn't know. So this body is because of your good evolution of having been born of stone, plant, vegetable, insects, animals, birds, worms, different, various life forms of animals from the lowest to the highest, over probably billions of years. And that's how long you've been on this earth experiencing incarnations, probably billions of years. But you're not suffering from it now, but the effects are still there. So you are suffering just as much as if you were going through that slow evolutionary grind. And that's why Yogananda and others say that one Kriya Pranayama is equal to 100 years of natural evolution. Well, do you know how long 100 years of natural evolution is? It's a long, long time. If you take one drop of water that's repeatedly, and many drops are flowing over a rock, a mineral, how long does it take for it to smooth it out, to make it perfectly smooth like a river rock? It takes a long time. So that's natural evolution. And that's fast natural evolution because it's happening by water on a rock, even though water's soft and rocks are hard. So the landscape, mountains, how were mountains formed? Do you think God created the mountains from scratch? He created the compounds, and the compounds formed into this earth through his desire, his intellect of formation. And then the mountains came about when the earth cooled, and then the pressurization of all the different elements over a slow period of time started to push up. So the mountains started to grow just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit over billions of years. And then India, Africa, a lot of these continents were all connected at one time. Over a long evolutionary period, they became disconnected. A lot of places were underwater long time ago that are above water now. So evolution, to say practicing Kriya Pranayama is speeding up your evolutionary progress, it's true. And that sounds like an incentive for us to practice it. That's just because we're little children. We need to hear childish things like that. The reason I'm telling you otherwise is because you don't need to hear childish things anymore. You've been a child long enough. It's time to start getting serious. Don't play games anymore. It's time to do your serious studies. That's why I don't say these childish things. You don't need to practice Kriya Yoga because you want to speed up your evolution. My God, evolution is so long. I don't want to experience any more evolution. I don't want to speed up my evolution. I want to go immediately beyond the evolution. I don't want the evolutionary process. I want to be taken out of the evolutionary process. I don't want to speed it up. But people, the Western audience that Yogananda came for, people in America would never understand what I'm saying. Very few can comprehend what I'm saying right now. And that's the instrument of the dense body, the instrument of enjoyment, which is made up of the uncompounded elements. meaning not the gross elements, which consist of the 5 life forces, the mind, the consciousness, the 10 senses, is the subtle body. So those aren't the gross elements, those are the subtle elements. Your astral body has more elements than your physical body. Your Shankaracharya designates 5 life forces of the mind. He doesn't go into all the other elements of prana. So people that live for gross things in a human body, and they're living for gross things, feed my stomach, have sexual relations, this enjoyment, that enjoyment, that enjoyment. You're enjoying enjoyments through that are sensual. I'm touching something that's nice to touch. I don't want to touch things that are not nice to touch. I want to see things that are nice to see. I don't want to see things that aren't nice to see. I want to eat food that tastes good. I don't want to eat food. I don't want to take medicine. I don't want to taste something that tastes bad. I want the air to be just the right temperature. I don't want it to be too cold. I don't want it to be too hot. This is why real yogis or sadhus are somewhat indifferent to pleasure and pain. This is what is meant by being indifferent to pleasure and pain. It doesn't mean that you don't have preferences. What it means is you don't rely on preferences to be happy. You can be in a hot situation or a cold situation, but your inner happiness isn't dependent on it. You can be taking food that isn't your preference and taste, or you can be taking food that is preference in your taste. But you don't have to have food that is in preference to your taste. And you don't have to avoid food that's not in preference to your taste. He continues to refine it, the beginningless illusion that is indefinable. It's indefinable. You can't define it. It's called the causal body. One should understand the self as other than these 3 bodies. So even the causal body, which is pure bliss, is also illusionary. It separates you from. I'm the devotee of the Lord. I'm the Lord is this, and I'm this, and I'm witnessing God. Is also illusionary. But it's not a bad illusion. It's a very good illusion. And that illusion can exist for way beyond time, way beyond we can count in time. You wouldn't even say billions of years. You wouldn't even say trillions of years, whatever, beyond any conceptual number. Our life in a causal body can last longer than that, but it will come to an end at some time. But once you live life only in a causal realm, you don't necessarily feel there's nothing negative. Everything is beautiful. Everything's blissful. You don't feel the need to go further than that. The pure self, by relation of the 5 sheaths, appears to assume the respective natures, like a crystal reflecting a blue cloth. So a Mahatma has a beautiful nature, because a Mahatma is mostly reflecting their causal nature. A materialist has a nasty nature. because they're mostly reflecting selfishness. A person who's initiated into Kriya Yoga for the wrong reasons, who's trying to be a certain way, is a mixture. Well, sometimes they're pleasant, but sometimes they're very unpleasant. But then sometimes they're very pleasant, and sometimes they're very unpleasant. And it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So ignorance always, the spotlight is always on ignorance in the world because the world's nature is ignorance. So we don't like to be around those people either. That's why among Kriya yogis, there's a lot of conflicts, just like there is in materialists. Just as many conflicts. So how is that? Well, there isn't quite just as many. They do have more episodes of being pleasant. It just seems because we're expecting a pleasant atmosphere around them, we're surprised that they can do unpleasant things and they can behave in unpleasant ways. It's just because we're surprised because we're not expecting. But they are doing better than a pure materialist. If somebody has some questions, let me see if I can find one. Now, I said I had all that emotional drama, and then that was replaced by that really bad toothache, and then that's been replaced by today I have another condition, and that's I'm feeling weak and I'm feeling dizzy. So there's always some condition, especially if you have knowledge. You see that everything is conditioned in this world. So you're never in perfect condition. So I always have something. It's just that one thing is replaced by the other. Okay, here it is. What does it really mean to live for Divine Mother and Guru? Divine Mother is conceptual unless we've met Divine Mother. So, Divine Mother to me is not a concept because I've met her. So I have a memory of her nature because I've experienced it. Let's say you haven't experienced it, that she hasn't appeared before you. Well, then the answer to the question is take a little painting or photograph of a painting or photograph of a little murti, a little sculpture, a Divine Mother, and pay your respects to that. And think of her when you see that painting and when you see that little sculpture. Like I keep her image in paintings and sculptures, and so I give acknowledgement to that every day. That's all it means. So when I start the day, I'm reminding myself that I'm the child of Divine Mother, and so I'm not going to live this particular day. I'm not going to live it for my selfish reasons. I'm going to live it as a child of Divine Mother and the way that I'm going to behave the way that she expects me to behave. So you would do the same with your guru, not the guru, but your guru. And as I said before, not everybody has a guru. But how can you live for the guru if you don't have one? Everybody has a mother, but not everybody has a guru. People don't want to accept that. They want to say, "Well, I don't have a guru, so I'm just going to invent one." And I can't even invent one. So, well, somebody says, "Well, I've invented one. I can share it with you." So all they're doing is they're just sharing their concept of a guru with you. So they also have never met Yogananda, so they're sharing their stories with you. They're sharing their ideas with you. They're sharing the Yogananda books with you. It isn't Yogananda. It's things that represent Yogananda. Just like the photograph isn't Divine Mother, the painting of Divine Mother isn't Divine Mother, but it represents her. So it does have value, but it 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 has value in the sense that it represents. But it's not that your guru isn't Yogananda. It's just that this represents the qualities of Yogananda. So you're taking the representation to be the guru in your ideas of what Yogananda, the books that you read, the stories that you've heard, or the tradition that he set from starting the Self-Realization Fellowship and Yogoda. Where did those names come from? Did Self-Realization exist before he started Self-Realization Fellowship? Well, it's also fellowship. Don't forget the fellowship. It's just people that are interested in self-realization. It's a fellowship of people that get together. That's all. But people want to think, oh, well, I'm special because of it. Well, you're special in the sense that you're a small percentage of those in the world that think of self-realization. But there's people in a lot of traditions with lots of gurus that are doing the same thing. They're getting together and with the idea of self-realization also. But a materialist thinks, no, Yogananda is the very best and better than any other guru. Who's teaching you that nonsense? It's completely untrue. And then they'll go in further. They'll say, well, self-realization fellowship is better than Ananda. It's better than Kriya Yoga International because Yogananda's institution is the one and only Word of God, like the Bible. It's the one and only. It's the only one that's valid. It's the only one that he's certified. That's completely untrue. But people are teaching you things that aren't true. And you're just as at fault because you're accepting it. You could demand better. See, I've never accepted any of that nonsense. People saying that self-realization fellowship is uh, the one and only. I never accepted that. Something that ridiculous. So how does it translate into daily living? Well, that's all. You have a painting, a Divine Mother. You have a Murti, a Divine Mother. That's your daily living. Turned your pictures off. Oh, this is it. Oh. Where did everybody go? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Gurudev.
Yes,
Okay,
Guru.
well, I touched something.
Yes, Guruji.
Everybody's picture went away. I don't know how to get it back.
Guruji, maybe you just need to go to view and turn it to gallery. Maybe you went into full
Oh,
screen
you. Okay.
with the
Yeah, show
screen.
participants. No, this just gives you an itemized list. Oh, never had that happen before. Well, okay, we don't have very much longer, so I just imagine that you're there. Second question is my own inner question. Of me noticing nothing external is making me truly happy. Am I fighting despair, depression, or is it spiritual longing? Well, it's actually, it could be despair, it could be depression, or it could also be uh, a very advanced state that's leading you to dispassion and renunciation, to be dissatisfied with anything of the world. Uh, uh, in that sense, it's a good thing to recognize that nothing in the world is making me happy. So I'm in a depressed mood. I'm in a depressed state of mind. If you study Yogananda's life, you'll see that he was in a depressed state of mind because he hadn't found what he was looking for. Ramakrishna was in a very depressed state of mind, an anxious, depressed state of mind because he hadn't found Divine Mother, and then Divine Mother didn't appear to him for a long time. He couldn't understand as much as he loved her, as much as he wanted her to appear, she still didn't appear. And then she did appear when he was going to kill himself. It's pretty drastic, isn't it? So, but then after that, she disappeared again, she didn't appear again for a long time. So then he got into another anxious state of mind, and she appeared again. So this nonsense that you have to be calm in order to facilitate God. Just think about that. I have to do something to facilitate God. No, God has to come. God can come whenever God wants to. Divine Mother can come whenever she wants to. They're not powerless because of you. But there's certain things that you have to do. You have to start living for others rather than yourself. So then you're serving, and you have to attend satsang. You have to. You can't avoid it. You can't not do it, and you have to meditate. Those are the things that you have to do as a person living in this world. Otherwise, the illusion will just drown you. You'll go in total darkness again. It'll continue for billions of years. Do the Kriya Pranayama because it's faster than not doing Kriya Pranayama. You don't want to do the slow evolutionary growth of a plant or a worm. So doing Kriya Pranayama is superior to not doing it. So you do that. It's a rocket ship compared. A rabbit is a rocket ship compared to a turtle. But a turtle is also very an airplane a rocket ship compared to the movement of a tree. In other words, the growth of the tree. A tree gets bigger, but there's a tree right there in the front. I've been here, I think, almost 20 years. The tree was little when I first came here. Now the tree is really big. The tree goes up and there's a V. So that part where the V goes, at one time it was just slightly above my head. Now it's like about 6 feet above my head. And then that also is faster than the continents separating. So understand when Yogananda says the airplane route, understand that that's the context and what it's talking about. And don't take somebody else's understanding ever. Don't accept somebody else's understanding because they're wrong. Unless it's a perfect master. It has to be an authentic perfect master. And you have to test the person. If they say I'm a master, or I'm a Kriya Yoga guru, or I'm a Maha Kriya Yoga guru, or I'm a Sri M, or whatever, test them. Ask them the difficult questions and then show them to demonstrate it. Well, if you are, then demonstrate it for me. If you're a good driver, then let's go for a ride and demonstrate to me that you're a good driver. Under difficult conditions, show me that you can avoid obstacles and that you can still go very fast and you can take corners fast and you're not going to picture game it, and you're not going to crash and all these things. Demonstrate it to me. Most of them will have no idea what you're even talking about. Ask them. I saw Shriyam by accident. Out of all the billions of people in the world, just he and I crossed paths with about 3 feet between us at an airport in Frankfurt. And I saw him, but he didn't see me. He was preoccupied with something in his mind. I didn't feel any purity or divinity coming from him. I just saw another man who was preoccupied with his thoughts. Not because of the look on his face. Somebody like Osho, for example, he can sit, he can be unblinking and do like, think that he's in a high spiritual state. He's not. So you can't tell by appearances. You have to be able to actually tell. With me, you've been around me enough to where it seems pretty valid. It makes sense. You wouldn't be coming back if it wasn't. I don't show you any I don't show you any miracles. And also the gurus that talk about miracles, that doesn't mean anything. The devil can perform miracles. So just the fact that somebody can do an actual miracle doesn't mean that they're spiritual at all. It can mean that they're evil. Because what is a miracle? And what significance is a miracle? It's of no significance. I've seen lots of miracles. All of you see a miracle every day, but you don't accept it as a miracle. You want something that's fantastic, is what you're asking for. The miracle is looking at a bird or looking at your own fingers. It's a miracle. I want to see something I've never seen before. But as you become, especially in Kriya Yoga, as you become more advanced, you have all the supernatural powers that Patanjali speaks of. You are given those powers, all of them or some of them, for a purpose, and you use them for your purpose of helping others towards self-realization, not for show, not to draw attention to yourself. That's the wrong use of those powers. I don't talk about the powers that I have very often. Sometimes I do, but not very often. It doesn't make too much of an impression on you if I talk about them because I just do it in a kind of a frivolous way. If you experience in them, because it's not done ostentatiously, then it might not even seem necessarily like a miracle, because you say, well, it's coming to me in context with other things. So, this is a problem I have, not with Nim Kurla Baba, but it's the problem I have with what they've created around Nim Kurla Baba. That he's the Baba of miracles, that all these miracles happen around him. And they make a big deal about all the miracles. Is that what Nim Kurla was all about? Was he the miracle guru who came to show miracles? Almost every single book I see about Nim Kurla Baba is about all the miracles. Well, that's because one book leads to another book, leads to another book, and people read that book and then they write other books. Everybody's being influenced by the books. Well, I could say, well, my tooth is broken off, and my tooth is completely decayed, totally, and it's creating this excruciating tooth pain. Only solution is to have it pulled, and then a second later, it's completely cured. Well, that's a miracle, isn't it? I don't even think about it. I'm just glad that the pain is gone, but the pain might come back again tomorrow. And there's always some foul condition you're going to experience when you're in this world of foulness. We're always going to experience bad things. Bad things will happen to us. Pains will happen to us. Emotional pains will continue to happen to you. Yogananda had lots of emotional pains. Ramakrishna did. Krishna did. Ram did. Yogananda had lots of them. People in the institution don't talk about them because they don't want you to think that he did. They're trying to preserve his purity. So they edit the books and they eliminate photographs, and because they're trying to preserve their purity. All they're doing is trying to preserve themselves as an institution, not Yogananda's purity. His purity doesn't need any preservation. It's best to see him as he really is, and to have to only get information about him from other people's creation of what they want you to think he is. There's this is way before any of you. I was in India way before any of you. Where some of you were little babies, but were small children. But many of you weren't even born. So I've seen. I talk now, especially with Archana, about how it doesn't seem. It don't seem to be very many real high souls like Ananda Mayama and Ramana Maharishi and Ramakrishna and Lahiri Masaya and Sivananda, used to be able to go to Rishikesh and well, there's the Paramahansa. You could find a Paramahansa if you made a little bit of effort. And now, where did they all go? I talk about that. Well, when I was in India, way back in the 1960s, early 70s, there were highly evolved saints that you could meet. Now, I met a lot of them back then, but they just seem to be gone now. At least the way they were more prevalent then. I don't know why. I still wonder why. Why isn't it easier to meet somebody who's perfected or pure? You see a lot of fakes and phonies, but you don't see very many pure people. But back then, for every Sivananda or for every Anandamaya Ma, there were 100 fakes, or probably 1,000 fakes. So there's less fakes now also. There seems to be less saints and also less fake saints too. Mhm. People leave on this side note. Although the self is at all times and in all things, and yet it cannot shine, and yet it cannot shine in everything, but will shine only in the consciousness, just as reflection will appear only in polished surfaces. So that means you'll only see the self, and you'll only see self after you've gone through austerities, and you'll only see God in the self. You won't see God in everything. In other words, you can go all over the world and you won't find God. You only see God in reflective, highly polished, reflective surfaces, items. Meaning you won't find a Mahatma on every street corner. You won't, there's different periods and different times, different ebbs and flows of things. So that's why I think it isn't as common now. Just because we are going into Dwapara Yuga doesn't mean that there should be more saints and perfect masters. It could just be the opposite. In the times of darkness, you need more saints. In the times of higher yugas, you don't necessarily need as many saints in the world. There's all sorts of factors. Okay, Om Tat Sat, and I'll see everybody. Kodmaningi. TK?
Pranam Guruji.
Thank you
Namaste,
very
Guruji.
much.
Upset. No, Chalagat.
Pranam, Guruji.
I just turned the screen off again.
Om Tat
Om
Sat
Tat Sat.
Gurudev. Thank you,
Om
Gurudev.
Tat Sat.
Thank you, Guruji.
Om Tat Sat.
Om Tat Sat, Guruji.
Are you still there?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Guruji.
yes, Guruji. Still there.
Okay. I can't see the screen. Okay, now I see it. Now you're back. I don't know why it's doing that. Now I can see everybody. Nobody's hiding from me. Victor's still hiding. Maria's hiding. Salan Mataj is hiding. It's a nice name. Salan Mataj.
I'm at
Now I'm here,
Slans.
Gurudev.
Gurudev, I'm at work.
Oh, you have two bodies.
Yes.
Om Tat Sat.
Om Tat
Om
Sat
Tat Sat.
Gurudev. Om Tat
Om
Sat.
Tat Sat.